Go outside. Take them outside, Cricket. Go outside. Come on. Go outside. Go outside. Let's go outside. Come on. Go outside. Go outside. Hurry. Come on. Come on. It's kind of wet out here, but...
Hey everybody, I had this video done yesterday and I actually uploaded it to Reclusive Rebel. However, I made a decision that it might not be the best thing to put that out exactly in its original form. So let's just talk about it while you watch Cricket with these babies. And I'm sorry you can't have the sound because I'm trying to eliminate my voice from the video. You'll notice several times that she alarms when she hears crows overhead or when she sees things overhead, and her babies will run under her, and that's typical good mama behavior. See there, she heard a crow. She heard a bunch of crows. Crows will take babies that small. I ran into an issue. And I'll put a meme up here that I'll put a meme up here that precipitated an argument basically between me and some guy when a friend of mine posted this. And all I said was one simple little word. I said perfect. It's a perfect illustration of what Second Amendment does. It holds back the government. It keeps the government from being able to run roughshod over you, which was the whole purpose of the Second Amendment. And this man proceeded, basically in all this art back and forth, proceeded to tell me that if there were no guns, no one would be shot. There'd be no mass shootings. Oh my goodness. How did adults begin to lose a grasp of reality? When did they start going backwards? And I just don't understand it. Even if you took away every gun from every citizen, the government still has their guns, and that's the whole point of the Second Amendment, to protect you from an overreaching government. He doesn't understand that. And anyone who believes the government is the only one that should have guns has to also believe that the government is there to help you and it is their sole purpose to protect you. And that's all they will ever do. And anybody who believes that must also believe that when our gas prices are so high that no one can afford a gallon of gas, or there is no more gas because the doofus in chief has given it all to Europe and China, that the government will then supply us unicorns to ride. They would have to believe that too. That's how insane that point of view is, and how immature and Pollyanna-ish. There's that term again, Pollyanna. That means a completely lollipops and rainbows and puppies and glitter view of the world. And he didn't take to me calling him a Pollyanna. But when did people become so unadult in their adult years? I'm just not sure. And, between that guy and the woman who objected to my term slaughter in regard to the abortion issue, I won't go into the entire conversation, but she called it silly dramatics. I think what occurs in that procedure is it definitely can be defined as a slaughter. I'm not sure what she thinks that procedure entails, but I have a feeling she has not even looked at it. Doctors have described what happens. It is very definitely brutal. It's brutal. And she's, I just don't understand people who are fine with their kids brutally dismembering their grandchildren. I don't understand that. Including the pathological liar in chief who used the 10-year-old being raped and going across state lines because she couldn't get the procedure. You know, that he makes up stories like the commencement speech that he supposedly gave. He makes up stories to prove his points, and people know they're lies, and the media just lets them slide. But you know, adults have the capacity, or they used to, for critical thinking, for research, for rational thought, but those have flown out the window lately. And I've become so cynical about this stuff. I guess I was properly named Cynthia because I am quite cynical. It's just become just my way of life anymore. I shake my head so much I need a neck brace, and I roll my eyes so hard I see my brain. That's just what happens these days. I just don't understand. You know, adulting is really very hard, and people can't seem to handle it. You know, the video where the guy said, you know, you can't handle the truth. Well, you can't handle the truth. They can't. These people can't seem to handle logic and truth, and you know, and they also have a hard time when they disagree with someone just simply saying, well, I disagree, and walking away. They can't seem to figure out how to do that. It's right pathetic. Hang on just a second. Okay. In chicken news, I think I need to talk about chickens for a minute. You see beautiful little cricket with her babies. They're feathering out opposite to what I feel the call I made for male and female. I called the blue as a male because the comb was larger right away. And of course, I think part of that was just my brain saying it's just my luck. The blue one I'd want to keep would be a male, and the splash would be a female. Not that I don't want splash females. I would rather have a blue female because blue's my favorite color chicken. And then all of a sudden, as they feather out, the blue one has shoulder feathers. The tail's much longer. The only things that are different that would say male are a very erect stance when they stand up, and the comb's still large. But otherwise, it's feathering out very female. Now, a friend of mine in Wisconsin who's raised Bantam cochins for many years, many varieties of them, and you know, she says, you know, I'd give it a while. She said, I'm still hoping for 2 pullets for you, and I thought, yeah, so am I actually. She said they're both really well feathered out for 2 weeks old here. So, Lisa, I hope you're right. I would love the 2 girls. Then I can just put them, when they get big enough, they can go in the flock with mom, and the boys will have 2 more beautiful girls. And I'll have a blue girl, my favorite color. In news in Hector's pen, Zara, who's Atlas's daughter, Zara and Athena are Atlas's daughters. I don't breed them anymore because they carry the dwarf gene. And I put them in with Hector just because he didn't have enough girls when his died. And Jill has been broody for so long now, she won't break up. She sits almost all day with Hector sitting on the floor in front of her. Funny thing is, Zara has gone broody at going on 7 years old. I don't recall Zara ever being broody in her entire life. Now that line, the Marvin Stupel Barred Plymouth Rock line, and Zara's part Delaware too, just like Atlas, but she's less so than Atlas. The Marvin Stupel Barred Plymouth Rock line is broody for the most part. Now Drusilla never went broody, but her mother Dottie was broody quite often, and Dottie actually raised Atlas and his 4 sisters. But Zara is now sitting on the floor next to Jill, and she's clucking her head off. So she's also broody. Neither one of them is getting eggs, of course, because I do not need any of them. I don't want them raising bantams, and I have nowhere to put them. And I just, no. Not happening, Zara. I just don't recall her ever being broody in her life. I'd have to go back and look, but I honestly don't think she ever has been. So, there's that. Cora, Vash's daughter, is still broody. She goes to the nest all the time. She does get off and run outside with them when they go outside, but she's still broody without an egg. I wish they'd hurry up and break out of this, because what happens is after they've been broody for a while, they molt right after that because they have been a long time with reduced food and water, and that always triggers a molt. People force molt their birds that way. I don't agree with doing that, but that tends to result in a molt. And of course, they don't lay eggs when they're molting or when they're broody generally. Although some do kind of lay through a molt when they're young. But these are not young birds. So, that's what's going on in those pens. Atlas is still kicking. Mina and Drusilla are living together pretty well. Drusilla, I don't know what's going on with her. She just needs, her legs are bad. She cries a lot. I really need to euthanize her, but it's very hard because she's very strong. She's very, very strong. And she has a lot of interesting food and all. She's not ready to go. Let's just put it that way. In my Brahma pen, I now have another crop issue with Betsy. Big old Betsy. Betsy hasn't laid an egg in a long time. Probably well over a year she hasn't laid an egg. That worries me. Now, BJ hasn't either, my dark Brahma. BJ actually has been sitting on the nest wherever she tries the nest on the floor. She has a hard time jumping up to the nest. She'll go and she'll sit a long time and produce no eggs. She's been doing that for a couple of months, but Betsy hasn't even been doing that. She hasn't laid an egg for over a year. And so now Betsy's crop is, I noticed Betsy sitting a lot, and so I went to do something with Betsy, and she wasn't doing so well. I checked her abdomen thinking something was wrong with her laying apparatus, and no, she wasn't bloated. Then I didn't check her crop, and the next day she sat, and then she went somewhere else and moved when Tom was cleaning up, and then she sat somewhere else. So I said, pick up Betsy and check her crop. Oh my goodness, it was very doughy. It's like Play-Doh. And I've been working on it, and now it's very loose, and it was doing better for a few days. I separated her in the hospital cage, took away her food basically, except for, some tomato juice, which the acid's supposed to help things like that. And she was doing better, but then I put her back with the flock, and she relapsed, and so we're back to square one again. So she's back in the hospital cage. If I can't fix her crop, I'll lose Betsy. It's like I lost Bailey. But, I don't know. She's 6 years old. I don't know what the longevity of this particular line of Brahmas are. To me, it seems like the very large birds don't live as long as the smaller birds, just like with dogs. That's just a general statement. It's not always true. There are extreme exceptions. So I think some good thoughts for Betsy. I'd rather not lose Betsy, even though she's not laying. 6 years old seems way too young to die, especially in my flock, where they usually live to well over 10 years old, sometimes 11, 12, 13, and 14, as you know. June just died at 14 and a half, and Snow died right before her at 14, almost a half. So, anyway, Cricket's doing really well with her babies. I hope I have 2 pullets in that one. But, they're providing me more eggs than I can even store in the refrigerator. I've frozen some. I've boiled a lot. It's just, I have so many eggs, but I know that the time's going to come when they're going to slow way down. And I need to freeze some more. I put them in the silicone muffin tin in the freezer, an egg in each cup, and I freeze those. And when they're frozen solid, I put them in a Ziploc bag and mark the date they went in. They're good for up to a year that way. It's easy to just pop them out of those silicone sections. So easy. You don't need any greasing or any seasoning or any kind of stuff. You just crack an egg in each one. So I need to do more of those. I do have a bag of dehydrated eggs that I think is nearing, except it's stated expiration date. But I'm going to have to do a lot of these eggs because they're pushing everything else out of the refrigerator. I've got dozens and dozens and dozens of eggs in there. But you know, you store things for when you don't have it. So I need to get those frozen. I'm trying to think of what else I need to talk about. But yeah, I had this entire video. I talked all the way through it, illustrated a lot of stuff. And the problem was I felt like I got a little too graphic with the pregnancy ending stuff for children. I did put warnings on there. I did, several. And, you know, I said, you might want your children to leave the room. But I thought, you know, I don't really need to do that to talk about how this woman was really out of touch with reality. And I don't think she understands how those procedures are performed. I think she thinks that they give the little baby a shot, have it go to sleep, and then put it in a little casket. I don't think she understands the brutality and that led me to use the word slaughter. And she thought that was overly dramatic. And I'm thinking, no, I think you're not living in reality. You need to do some research. And every woman who's thinking about doing that procedure needs to watch a video because it has been videotaped and described by doctors. And I think they need to do that. That's the responsibility they bear when they want to take a life. It's easy to hire somebody else to do it so you don't have to look at the distasteful thing that you're having done. But I just feel that that's what should be done. So this was much less graphic. Children didn't have to leave the room necessarily. I didn't think so. And I thought, you know, YouTube would probably get all over my case about it. Anyway, I thought I can make the same point without going into that much detail. So I did. It boggles the mind how these people are so out of touch with reality. I just don't get why this guy with the gun discussion, why he thought that you can get rid of all the guns and no one will be shot. That's pretty much exactly what he said. And the government will all be weaponized. They will all have their weapons. The criminals are not giving up theirs. They can't take them away from them now. They all have them illegally now. Half these people with prison records, they still have their weapons, their firearms. They can't even get them now. And it's illegal for them to own them now. Making more laws doesn't make criminals obey the new ones any more than they obey the old ones. Simple logic. But these people, these so-called adults, can't grasp that. Either they're just stupid, or they're to the point of being immature as a 5-year-old, or they're just queens of denial. I think a lot of it is denial. They think if they say this enough, it will become true, just like Obama used to do. He'd always say these things that weren't true, just like this current guy does. Just because you repeat something 100 times doesn't change the reality of it. You can say a lie 1,000 times; it doesn't make it become the truth. I've just encountered. It's like every time, everywhere I go, I get myself in trouble, and all I have to do is say one little word, just one word, and I get in such serious trouble. So I hope you enjoyed watching Cricket dust bathe, and these babies. Well, the blue one dust bathes. The little splash one, I don't think it has figured it out yet. It keeps trying to go under mom because the soil was rather damp and cool, and I think they're a little bit cool because they're not fully feathered yet. And they kept trying to go over to mom, and mom's like, "No, I'm busy, kid. You're bothering me." But she needs a dust bath. She's been a good mom, and she really needed a dust bath. She's such a good girl. She didn't want to go back in. Let me tell you, she didn't want to go back in. So anyway, I just hope you really enjoyed watching the babies, and please think good thoughts for me to have 2 girls. Or at least I hope the blue one's a girl. That's what I really hope. And I don't have a whole lot more to say. If you're not growing your food, you've got to do it. The tomatoes are coming on. The Crowder peas and the purple hull peas are close to me starting to pick them for the first time. When purple hull peas are ready to pick, the hulls themselves are mostly purple. When Crowder peas are ready to pick, their hulls are mostly white. So, yeah, those varieties, that's when you pick them. If you pick them when they're green, they're going to be hard to shell. You can eat them when they're green, but they're going to be very hard to shell and not as flavorful. My friend Rachel, sent her a pack last year, and she couldn't find it. She lost it, and then she grew them this year. And she said something. The reason we grow them every year, besides them being tasty, is they're so easy. They're just so easy. And I've got about 25 volunteer peas that have come up all over the garden. I haven't even transplanted them. I've been so busy doing other things. But I think they overwinter that well. Maybe I should just let all the hulls fall into the ground and let them grow themselves next year and don't put them anywhere. Just let them go crazy. But anyway, I'm about done now, y'all. So you take care and you have a great week, and we'll see you later.